Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful April morning out there. The wind is still blowing a little bit, but the sun's out and it's just a gorgeous day here on the homestead. So I want to talk to you today a little bit about the Harvest Right. And no, I'm not getting paid for any advertisement for the Harvest Right, but because of some of our videos that we've put out, some of our friends are asking about the Harvest Right and they want to buy one. And so I kind of wanted to go over some stuff I've been doing with it, so they kind of can understand what, if they want to buy one or not. It's up to them, but they've asked a lot of questions. And so here's some of the stuff that I've done. Now, the carrots that I've done rehydrate just super in soup and stuff like that. Some of the stuff that I freeze dry is not something that I'm going to try to rehydrate and eat like it was when it was fresh. Some of the stuff like the cheeses and stuff like that, they just don't do well like that. But you can use them in recipes. So the carrots work really good in recipes. Now here's some plums that we got off of our tree this is in 20. And these are great for taking backpacking and just a quick snack. They're I suppose you could rehydrate them, but I like them just as a snack. I take the peas and carrots and corn from the garden and mix them together. And then when Randy was working, he's retired
green beans.
now. Huh?
Green beans.
Oh yeah, there's green beans in here too. So when Randy was working, he'd take some of those like top ramen soups and he would dump some of this in there, and it made the soup edible for his lunches. Here's one of my favorite things I like to do is the jalapenos. People are laughing at me how I say that word. But these, you take the lid off of this and it'll about knock you down. But the jalapenos are awesome to put on pizzas or to use in different recipes. They rehydrate very well in recipes, and putting that on pizza and stuff. I did some blueberries from our garden last year, and these, if you put them in muffins or cake or something like that, they're just like out of the garden. They're also a very crunchy, nutritious treat to just pop in your mouth. Green peppers. The green peppers are actually something that really work well in soups and stir fries, and I've done them in different slices. These are more for a stir fry. These are more to put in soup. They really add a lot of flavor, and they really rehydrate well. Now last year, actually this was 2021, yeah, I did a bunch of raspberries and powdered them. And these work really, really good if you want to flavor a cake or some icing, or if you like to put it in a drink. What do you call it? What do you call those drinks?
Energy drink.
Yeah, something like that, and just add some flavor to it. They're really good for that. I did the same thing with some blueberries. I powdered some blueberries. These have all been sealed, and they have a moisture packet in them. The video I did the other day, I showed how to do the orange peel and the lemon peel, and I use those things constantly in recipes that you just need a pinch, or something. And then I powdered some lemon and orange. And I'm always, in the wintertime, doing a recipe and it calls for 2 tablespoons of orange juice or something. Well, all you have to do is go get your powder out and mix up enough water to make the orange juice for the recipe.
All the nutrition and everything is still in there.
Right, the nutrition and everything is still in it. The freeze dehydrator, you get more nutrition out of your vegetables than you do if it's canned. These are some little cherry tomatoes that if you like sun-dried tomatoes, I like to just eat these right out of the jar, but you can put these on pizza and stuff like that, and they're just like I think they have more flavor than the sun-dried tomatoes, but they're really good.
And the powder.
And yeah, and while we're talking about this now, I'm out because I didn't powder enough tomatoes last year. But as long as I have this freeze dryer, I'm never going to can tomato sauce and tomato paste again, because you can powder it, and then if you want paste, you just add a little water. If you want sauce, you add a little more water, and it stores. You know, if this was powdered tomatoes, I could get probably 20 pounds of tomatoes in this jar, and then all I would have to do would be add the water to it, and it just saves so much room. It's lighter weight, and I actually like it much better than canning the tomato paste and the tomato sauce. These are beets from my garden last year, or 2020, and they are so nutritious, and they're very good as a snack, or if you want to powder them and put them in a nutritious drink. These are bananas that we did in 2020. I just did some more the other day. These are really good for a snack, and these have cinnamon coating on them. Here's a soup mix I made. It's got onions and red pepper, bell pepper. I think it's got jalapeno in it, onions, green beans, peas, corn, and once again, just dump it in a noodle soup or any kind of a soup, and it rehydrates. This is a quick, easy way to make soup. Here's another soup mix. Last year, a friend of ours had a whole pickup full of onions that he got for a really good price, and I took a bunch of them and I just chopped them like this. These are so quick and easy for any recipe. I love to dump it in hash browns, anything that you just need a quick onion in, because you don't have to stand and peel it. And these are just like fresh when they come out.
Soup, pot roast.
Pot roast, soup, anything like that. Thank you, dear. Here's some apples that I did in 2020. They also have cinnamon on them. There's a lot of different ways you can do the bananas and apples. We got crazy one time and tried different things like licorice and orange. I don't remember what all we did, but cinnamon is really the best on the bananas as far as we like. But you can do the same thing with the apples, and you can actually put beet juice on these and make them red. There's just a lot of different things you can do, but these are very nutritious. I haven't tried making apple pie out of these. I'm sure you could, because they rehydrate well, but I really like them just for a snack. Here's some rhubarb that we did last year, and you put these with strawberries. They make pie, or you can make the strawberry soupy stuff. Grandma used to call it her go-to thing when she just was making like a gravy type stuff with it, and she'd just eat it right like that. We've done some crazy things. These are dehydrated, freeze-dried Skittles, and they kind of blow up and they get crunchy. They're kind of fun. Just something to do when the dehydrator wasn't being used, which isn't very often. It's just almost always full. One of the other things that I've had a lot of questions about lately is the water glassed eggs I made. And so we have about 17 hens, and we get, right now we're getting about 14 or 15 eggs every day. And so I did a video on freeze drying the eggs, and that's probably my most preferred way to save the eggs. But another way is to water glass your eggs. Now these I water glassed at the first of the year because I thought the chickens were going to quit laying, because the year before they didn't lay from August to spring, very many. And this year they didn't quit. And so I really didn't need to water glass eggs this year, what I did. And what you do is if you have eggs that are fairly clean from the coop and they don't have poopies on them, then you can put them in here. You do not wash them. The eggs come with a sealing coat on them from the chickens. Now if you wash them, you wash that off, and this doesn't work. I only use the cleaner eggs that come from the coop. I don't put anything in here that has sawdust stuck to it or whatever. But what you do is a gallon of water, and this is 1 pound of pickling lime. So you take this and dump it in a gallon of water and just lay your eggs in there. And these eggs have been in there since last
4 months,
August
4 or 5
or
months.
something. And what happens is they actually get a little runny after a few months, but they still are good for baking, scrambling, things like that. They just don't make the best fried egg. And some of the lime will kind of soak to the bottom. That doesn't hurt this. They're still coated with the lime. And these eggs, I'll open one real quick and show you.
Last year you did 5 gallons.
Yeah, last year. I did 2 5-gallon buckets last year, and I didn't hardly use 10 of them. But I'll open one of these eggs and show you. Now these have been on the shelf. They're not refrigerated. They've just been
Okay.
sitting on
Move
the
that jar. No.
on the shelf since last fall. And so they're a little runny, as expected. But they're good eggs. They're still good for baking. I wouldn't want to fry that, but I would definitely scramble it or use it in any of my baking. So that's the story about the water glassed eggs that people have been asking me about. Okay, and one last thing on the eggs, the water glassed eggs. If an egg floats, it's rotten. Don't use it. And so as long as the eggs are still on the bottom, they're good. Now, some of the things I haven't talked about are, I have these out in jars because they're things I use a lot. But I have for long-term storage a bunch of stuff that I've done and put in these Mylar bags. These will stay good for 20-25 years. But we did some mushrooms the other day, and these mushrooms are crimini, is that how you say it, mushrooms? And this is, I got it. These mushrooms are really, really awesome. Now, if you like to pick morels like we do, you couldn't ask for a better way to do these, because you pick a morel and put it in a jar like this, and come January, you pass that and it's like, oh, I gotta have some mushrooms, because they look just like they were when you took them out of the ground. Now these are crimini mushrooms, and we put these in soup and stir fries and stuff like that. But these bags, you can open them, shake out a little bit, and then reseal them. They have this little tear top thing, and you can just keep making little places to tear them across until the bag is gone. These bags are real heavy Mylar. They are for long-term storage. So you can put any of the things that I have out here in jars in these Mylar bags and put in a moisture packet, and they just last forever. But these are just some of the things I've been doing with the Harvest Right. And some of the gals that are really interested, friends of mine that are talking about getting a Harvest Right, these are some of the things I've been doing. I've had the Harvest Right now for 3 or 4 years. And one of the other things I wanted to talk about was a friend yesterday was asking about the pump. Now, when we bought the Harvest Right, we got the pump that came with it, and you had to change the oil all the time. Not a huge deal. It was a little messy, and we changed it every time, and that pump is still good. But you have to buy the food grade oil for it, which is a little bit more expensive than regular oil. And we actually changed it almost every time we used it, and our pump was clean. And but then you have to take the oil that comes out and filter it, and then put the filtered oil in the freezer, and so that separates the oil and the water, and then you can dump the water, take the water ice cube off of it, and then you can use the oil again. But it's a little time consuming and kind of messy, so we decided we wanted the oil-free pump, which we bought. And because we got the big Harvest Right with the 5 trays, it took the bigger oil-free pump. If you buy the smaller, I think there's a 3 and a 4 tray Harvest Right, and that one will take the smaller pump. It's called low profile pump is what it's called. And so that one fits on the shelf a little bit better. So if you're going for a smaller dehydrator, maybe if you want the oil-free pump, get that one. But because everybody's been asking me questions about all this, I thought I'd do a quick thing on what I do with it. And like I said, we're not getting paid for this. This isn't a paid advertisement. It's just something that we've been doing. So right now we're getting ready to take the cheese out of the Harvest Right. It's done. It only took a day to grate the cheese, and I'll show you when it comes out what it looks like, and then we're going to grate some more and put back in. Okay, yesterday we grated some extra sharp and some sharp cheddar cheese, and it's coming out of the dehydrator right now. And now the cheese is something that, now this is all just me, not everybody. Some people like to hydrate it and do whatever, but the cheese I'm going to use in soup, cream soup. We're going to make our own sausage. We're going to put it in the sausage. There's just different things that we're going to use the cheese. It's great on hash browns and stuff like that. But it's not something that I wouldn't slice it and try to put water on it and eat it like a fresh slice of cheese, because I just don't think it turns out well like that. One of the other questions that I was asked was about meat. Yes, you can do meat with the freeze dryer. However, personal opinion, I would rather can or freeze meat rather than to put it in the freeze dryer, because I personally just don't like the way it comes out when you rehydrate it. So yeah, you can do the thing about the meat is if it's super greasy, it just doesn't, anything super greasy doesn't do well in the freeze dryer. It's got to be all the grease taken off of it, which is all the flavor. But if you take all the grease off of it, yeah, you can rehydrate it and stuff. But don't think you're going to put a steak in there and then put water on it, take it out and put it on the barbecue grill and be happy with it, because I just don't think it works that way. So for me, meat's not the best thing. I've got so many things from the garden and other things that I like to do with the freeze dryer, and meat's just not one of them. But some people do it and swear by it. So personal preference, I don't like to do it. So now I'm going to close this bag up with the sealer that came with the Harvest Right, and also I'm going to show you how I do the jars in a seal thing we have over here. I'll just take a couple of these over and show you. Oh, look. My little lemon seeds are sprouted and looks like they're getting a little root on them. I was excited about that because I'd never tried to sprout those are out of the lemons that I grated and froze dry. Okay, so this is the sealer that comes with the Harvest Right when you buy it. And we rip the top off of this, and so it's just a simple little, wait till the light goes out. And how come it's not lighting up? There it is. Okay. So now we resealed it and we can rip that off and do it again. This thing is something I got a lot of comments on the last time I did a video. This is a Backmaster VP112S. I've had it, how long have we had it? 8-9 years?
About 5.
No, we got it in Lewiston. So anyway, it's I love this thing. You can actually put a bag of water in here and seal it and freeze it if you want to put it in your cooler or something, because everything's done in this chamber. So this is for sealing bags. We had a food saver, whatever it was, and every time we did cherries or something like that and froze them, it'd suck all the juice out of it and go in the motor and it was done. This thing doesn't do that because it seals everything in this chamber. But you can also seal jars in the chamber, and I mean they really, really seal. This one's been sealed probably for a year. That one was already popped. I popped it open earlier. This one has been sealed a long time, but you can see that's a really good seal on it. So I'm going to show you how. Now, you always have to make sure there's no nicks in your jar, just like when you're canning. No powder on the top of them, and they're nice and clean up here. Then you can reseal them. You just put the rings on until they're partially tight. The quart jars lay down, and the pint jars you can stand up. And then they seal. It runs for 45 seconds, and then it'll suck all the air out. And when you hear 3 beeps, then you can take the jars out. Alright, if I did it right, both of these will be sealed really tight again. That one's on there good. These are just things that I use all the time. I take a little out and I come back over here and seal them. And they are both very sealed. So, trying to answer the questions I got from the last couple of videos that I did on this and the sealer and the harvest stripe. Like I said, I'm not getting paid for any of this. These are not commercials. These are just things that I do to be self-sufficient here and try to save all the produce that we can from our garden. So right now we're getting ready to go take the cheese out of the dehydrator. Okay, so this is the new oil-free pump that we just got. We took the other one out and we've stored it. It's still good. We'll probably use it in case something happens to this one in the future, but now we have a backup pump. But this one does not have to be changed in between each batch. You do have to defrost the machine in between each batch, but it only takes an hour. And you don't have to refilter and all the oil and pour it back in. That was getting kind of messy because we're using it right here in our pantry, so it was a little messy. So right now we have the cheese is done, and to get the cheese out, I have to open this drain valve. So the vacuum seal is going to let all the air out, and as soon as all that air is out, then I can open it. Always check before you turn the machine off to make sure it's as dry as you like. And you can see that this cheese looks just like it did when I put it in there. So I'm going to get this out and take it to the other room and then defrost the machine. Okay, I'm just gonna defrost. And it says to remove all the products from the dryer and continue. So it's going to defrost for 2 hours. You ready?
Okay.
I'm going to use some of this cheese right away, just sprinkling it on different recipes or putting it on, especially hash browns is so good. So I'm going to put some in jars to just use right away and reseal easily. The rest of it I'm going to put in the Mylar bags for the long-term storage, and that way we can save the cheese when we buy it from Costco in those big bricks, you know, the Tillamook cheese in these big bricks. Once you open them, you can reseal them in the plastic on that Vac Master that I was showing you, but they do tend to, after a while, they get a little old, slimy, moldy, whatever. So we're going to store these for long term in the Mylar bags, but the ones in the jars we'll just be able to use in soups and stews and, well, probably not stew, but soups and different recipes right away, and then we'll just keep the Mylar bags for long-term storage.
Okay.
From one batch with 5 trays, we got 2 quarts and 3 pretty full Mylar bags of cheese. And we're getting ready to do some more for the next batch. And somebody wanted us to introduce our dogs. And so this little sweetheart right here, you can barely see because she's so black, is our Sassy baby. She is a Catahoula chocolate lab mix, and she's a rescue puppy. And over here we have our little Granger baby. He's getting so tubby this winter. And Grangy is a rescue baby from a niece in Granger, so we call him in Grangeville, Idaho, so we call him Granger.
Quiet.
Granger, get up. Get up, show me your life. Get up, show me your life, baby. And he is a Catahoula. So those are our 2 rescue babies that we have here, and we couldn't live without them. We love them. Go.
First off, I'm going to start with my friends. You got a high five? Okay. Okay, go on. What do we do?
The freeze dehydrator is empty, defrosted. Now we're going to grate some more and get it going again. And then we're going to go outside and build chicken fence. So we're going to get this going real quick. And this is a little thing I got on Facebook Marketplace for $15 and been the best thing I've bought in a long time. So we're going to keep your fingers out of it, babe. I don't want any red cheese. And we're going to fill the harvest right back up and go enjoy this beautiful, sunny, cool day. So there you go. Please subscribe, and if you like this video, and hit the like button, and enjoy your comments. So if you want to comment on something, we'd love to have your comments, and maybe you do something a little different. I'd love to hear about it. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear about that. Maybe I can answer them. But to keep the channel going, we really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. And Randy, that's getting really full, honey. We'll talk to you a little later. Thanks for everything, guys. Bye-bye.